So we had a question about practice 2. So in this case, of the students in Latona's class, 8 have been to California, 9 students have been to Washington, and 5 students have been to both California and Washington. How many students have been to California or Washington? So in this case, the first thing we want to notice is that we've got 2 different locations. So that's going to be our 2 circles in this case. So this is going to be a 2-circle Venn diagram as opposed to a 3-circle Venn diagram. So in this case, we've got A is California, and we'll let B equal Washington. So that means let's go ahead and draw our 2-circle Venn diagram here. And so the goal is we're trying to figure out how many students have been to California or Washington. So the thing to remember is OR problems are always the same thing as union, which is basically filling in the whole entire circle. And problems are always going to be intersection. So in this case, when it says California or Washington, it's really saying, what is A union B? That's another way to actually think about that. So if you want to try to translate these words into like set theory symbols and stuff. Now again, just like on example 9 I did, or homework problem 9 I did, you've got to be careful because in this case it says that 8 people have been to California. Well, that doesn't mean you want to just throw an 8 right there. What that means is that if you take this whole entire circle A, everything that's in the big part plus this little part here has to add up to 8 in this case. So keep that in mind when you're doing these kinds of problems. So a lot of times what they do is they front end information, and you don't actually want to probably use that first. Usually you kind of start with the end information and then work your way backwards. So what we want to do is we want to fill out this section. So you always want to do the intersections first. So if it's a 2-circle diagram, you do the one intersection. If it's a 3-circle diagram, you do like where all 3 sets intersect, then where the individual 2 sets intersect, and then go out to the bigger circles where it's just those by themselves. So in this case, if we look, 5 students have been to both California and Washington in this case. So that's the number that we want to put in here first. So we're going to put a 5 in the middle to go in our intersection. So now, since it's just a 2-circle, all that's left is just 2 more spots to fill in. So now we can go back to these first 2 pieces of information and go from there. So again, 8 students have been to California, but we already have 5 in the circle. So that means that only 3 have just been to California. So in this case, we've got 3 that's just been to California, 5 that's been to California and Washington. And then similarly, we had 9 students that have been to Washington, but again, we've already had 5 that have been there. So that means we want to do 9 minus 5 to get the 4 that's just been to Washington. So now that we've got it all laid out, now we're ready to finally answer this guy. So again, since it wants to know how many kids have been to California or Washington, so that means they've either just been to California, they've just been to Washington, or they've been to both California or Washington. So we just want to add up 3 plus 5 plus 4, which gives us a total of 12 students have been to both. So that's why you have to be careful on these, because like if we look at the 8 and 9, like it looks like there's actually 17 kids that are in the class, but what happens is we're double counting those 5 students. So there's really only 12 students that have actually been to both. So that's why these numbers are a little deceiving. You have to be careful. So if you have questions about that, just let me know. Good luck. Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you later.